Welcome everyone to a special Grandstand Golf Show where we review the second part of the Tiger HBO docu-series. I'm Adam Bapty, and as always, I'm joined by my brothers Kevin.
Hi everyone.
And Craig.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
And guys, if you like our content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It really does mean a lot to us. But jumping into part 2 of the doc, guys, we just all finished it. What are your first impressions? Kevin, let's start with you.
Well, my initial impression was it's just amazing to see the highs and lows of Tiger's life. I can't think of many people, if any, who have risen to such enormous heights only to fall so totally and completely and then rise back up again. It's an incredible story.
Yeah. How about you, Craig?
To me, so I didn't follow for, maybe from about 2015, 2016-ish until he won the Masters. I wasn't following the Tiger story that closely.
Right.
So some of that to me was actually like, wow, I didn't realize how low he had gotten, I didn't realize how all the videos of his arrest, I hadn't seen that stuff. The biggest thing to me, though, it was less about Tiger and more about like the absurdity of celebrity culture and what is it? Rachel Uchitel,
right.
or Elin, just like the paparazzi following them around and
it's
all of
awful.
These shots of Tiger.
It's terrible. It really is terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. But like that shot where he was with some kid, it looked, or a young adult maybe, and he's like, "How do you deal with it? Like, do you ever get used to this?" He's like, "No, this is the worst." Like when there's just tons of cameras taking photos of them, and
or the paparazzi in New York, like telling Rachel to get tested and like all this stuff. Like that is so like that's just you can't do that. Like that is
there's no humanity in it.
There's no humanity at all.
Yeah, it was, they were ruthless with her, and then also with Elin, she's got the kids, and they're asking if she's how Tiger's doing, if she's let Tiger see the kids and all that. She's going through the hardest part of her life probably until that point, just going through personal hell, and you're just shouting at her when she's trying to do
trying to get a reaction.
Yeah. Trying
It's
to just
awful.
do something with her kids, get them in and out of the car, which can be challenging in and of itself, as we know. So,
and I've heard a lot from, I think mostly through the Max Homa podcast, about how like relentless it is to be in Tiger's world, even when you just like see it happening from someone else's point of view. So that's what he dealt with all the time.
Yeah. That's not 2007 Tiger. That's not 2008 Tiger. That's probably recent Tiger where maybe it is a little bit different. But okay, so part 1, we kind of got like the making of Tiger the man, making of Tiger the machine. And then we get Rachel Uchitel. We get Tiffany Masters, the Las Vegas host. We get Neil Bolton, I believe, the National Enquirer. Kind of, we jump into part 2 here, and it really goes into deep of like his downfall of his personal life. Like, were there any revelations there that you thought were new or kind of?
So I remember hearing the Men's Fitness, the National Enquirer burying the story.
That was interesting.
I thought that was a rumor, though. I kind of remember in the back of my mind hearing that story, but I didn't think it was one of those ones that I'm like, no way, there's not that kind of horse trading going on behind the scenes. But no, sounds like
how many
there
more
was.
magazines does he sell when he's on the cover? Like, what's the trade off? I guess they were calling his bluff. Like it's interesting scenario, but.
Yeah. Well, I as a huge Tiger homer, I didn't really dive too deep into all the details of when the story started to come out, and more and more women were coming out saying they had relations with him, and I never really got into a lot of the details. And in fairness of the documentary, I don't think they got into too many of the gory details of all that stuff.
Right.
It probably could have been a lot more salacious if they wanted to go that route.
Sure.
So, they definitely, it was a big part of the story, but,
the one thing I took away too is like, a lot of people mention it, like the pride that people took in the downfall of Tiger. And I was a college student then, I was probably part of it too, but I wasn't a late night talk show host that was, the Tiger Tracky, how many women is it now? Or Elin, it's not you, it's not like he was really like, he quickly became the butt of the joke.
Yeah. Although there was a good one, I forget his name. Is it Hughley or the stand-up who had the diversity joke. That was a pretty good one. But the one other thing, just real quick, that I loved about the whole news coverage of the tiger crash and everything was that Thailand news,
the animation,
computer animation recreation.
Well, it's Taiwanese,
of it.
I think. Yeah.
Was it Taiwan? Okay, Taiwanese.
I also like them. Like, this looks nothing. It kind of does look like them. Like,
yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I one of my favorite spins of that whole thing I remember at the time was that Elon was breaking the windows to try to get Tiger out of the vehicle. It was always the back windows, like, oh, I don't know about
that was in like that messiness of early reporting of a story where it's like no one really knows what the story is yet, and it sounds like it could be that's the case. And
Team Tiger's really trying to, squash it as much as possible. But
so Team Tiger, I feel like I don't know about this team or know who's in his team. Like, so it's like obviously publicists,
his agents,
some legal team, agents. Like, how big is his team, and how many people like kept this? Like, the bigger the team is, the harder it is to keep it under wraps, right?
Well, the first thing about Tiger's team is you don't talk about Tiger's team. So
are you in Tiger's team?
Nobody really knows. I don't think
you're his hype man.
I'm sure there's people that know. I don't personally know who's all. I know Mark. What is it? Mark Steinberg. Mark Stein.
The agent?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, the agent. He's been with him a long time.
Through and through, through everything.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know.
But then he
else.
also has like manager. He has a manager now who has. I don't know if he was with him back then. He's a younger guy. But I think there's obviously some turnover in the. Essentially these people have to be willing to like put this person's life first. So not everyone wants to do that for 20 years,
Yeah. One of the things that I guess was a little revealing to me was how many people I think he just kind of cut out of his life too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I knew that he had kind of moved on at various points from people like Steve Williams, but to just have completely cut them and that's it. They've never. I mean, I assume they've run into each other at tournaments and things like that.
I'm sure him and Adam Scott have been in the same group or on the range
maybe.
or wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially that's it.
It's a pretty glaring like indictment. Like to me, I mean, obviously there's things that are negative about Tiger's character in this documentary, but like to me that's one of the worst things. And like, some of these, like the friend, I don't remember her name. There's a single photo of them. I don't know how close of friends they are. Like, probably there's a lot of people who are friends with Tiger that like are to Tiger. They're like, sort of on the peripheral. But
so I believe she's a relative of Mark O'Meara. Is who that was.
Oh, so and I do know that O'Meara, like he did essentially cut ties with Mark O'Meara.
I think his wife Alice was on the.
She was on.
She was on there briefly. Yeah.
One of the things I wish the documentary did a little better was kind of introduce who was talking or who was being interviewed at that point. Like sometimes I felt like who is this person, and you kind of had to piece it together a little bit. It would have been nice to know like how they knew Tiger and what their relationship was and why they're a credible person to be speaking about him.
Not that it felt rushed, but it did feel incomplete with the different people that were telling the story. The story's only as good as the people telling it, right?
Yeah.
And the
I
information
also think one thing for me, because to me, I felt the emotional high point was Elon's friend talking about her going through this. And like, I forget, is Sam his daughter's name? Talking about how she was hurt in her heart and that stuff. And I felt like there was a little bit, and maybe this is just the reality of the story, but a little bit of like they've gone their separate ways, and like, how are they, like, we saw the Tiger comeback, that we saw the Tiger Masters win.
Yeah.
But like, I think they have figured out some civil coexistence, and that it would have been nice to just have a glimpse of, or allude to they figure out a way to raise these kids together, because we were left hanging on that one. It felt like.
I mean, I still don't know. I don't consume much Tiger media, but obviously we know him playing with Charlie recently at the PNC, and
I think she was there. But, so like they have some kind of civil relationship.
Oh, Elon was there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Elon and Sam were there's a picture of them watching Charlie and Tiger which was nice. But I think that does speak to I would love to think it's because the media is giving them a little bit of space to figure it out and have a private life. But
Based on what we saw,
I know that's probably not the truth, but I'm kind of happy to not know in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think who was it? Conan at one point made a joke about you don't see a lot of pictures of your private life. You must have some kind of bat cave, and the way it was edited and spliced up, you don't know if it was really his reaction. But Tiger wasn't like too amused. He's like, well,
even most recently, interviewer at PNC was asking like who Charlie really likes as golfers that he looks up to, like whose posters does he have on his wall, and Tiger's like, I'm not going there, man. Like, next question.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's still like there should be walls up. I mean, I guess we are the media talking about it too, in a way, in a silly YouTube way. But yeah, I'm okay not knowing.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's larger questions there. Like, to me, I liked this documentary, but I don't really care that much about all of these details behind the scenes. Like, I think Tiger's a great golfer, and like, I'm okay with him being a great golfer and a flawed human being. I don't need to know all the details of it, but
so
here we are.
I feel like another thing getting a lot of chatter is the 2010 Masters Billy Payne kind of comment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, quick reactions to that. Kind of, I don't know. To me, I think Brian Gumbel kind of summarized it pretty nicely in the documentary.
I did too. I loved seeing that, because that is just so, it's so out of place for Billy Payne to be lecturing Tiger at that point. Like, I agree that Brian Gumbel just summed it up best. Like, that's between my wife and I, and stay the hell out of it. Like, who are you they're allowed to be disappointed in me, you're not. You can be disappointed in me all you want, I don't care. Like, that's not something for you to broadcast.
That's
to the
a
world.
golf club. Why, like, who are you to talk down to me as a condescending parent? The other thing that around the same time in the documentary, just in my notes here, I agree with the family friend, the PR apology from Tiger Woods. Like, and I think it's just in part, we've seen that so many times over the years, but like the family friend who is like, I think that was a mistake. I'd agree. Like that it did not seem, I don't know how that rehabilitates his image in any way. Like, I guess it's the first time he has to be seen in front of a camera, but like, give something with some semblance of sincerity or empathy, or don't talk about how you've disappointed your business partners. And
I kind of disagree, because he looked directly into the camera and for a while said like, I'm sorry, and paused, because I think a lot of these statements, people apologize without really apologizing. They'll dance around it and also spin it to make an excuse. And I don't remember the press conference that well, but from what they showed in the documentary, like, it's really rare to see someone actually say, I'm sorry for what happened,
Yeah, but one of the things of an apology that, you look for from your children, for example, why are you apologizing? What did you do that you're sorry for? Not just very vaguely be like, I'm very sorry for what has happened.
Yeah.
So there I think there's a lot of things about that press conference that people could be critical about for good reason. But I think I kind of mixed up a few of the interviews there. Yeah, Brian Gumbel was saying Billy Payne kind of had no place telling him, lecturing Tiger, but it was the family friend there that said that Tiger should have just said, F off, this is between my wife and my family and I, and it's none of your business, kind of thing. So yeah, I agree. I liked that point.
Well, and I think that, like, I think it's okay for him to apologize. It's just to apologize to your business partners.
Yeah.
At the same time, you have your mom there. Like, deal with if it is about your family first, deal with your family first, and don't feel like your mom needs to be there on stage to be giving her are you actually apologizing to your mom right now? If not, why? Like, you should have had a conversation with her before this, and then if not, why is she there? Because you need some family figure there, and Elin was not going to be there to be apologized to.
Tita was doing her part, looking mighty fierce in that press conference, though, I have to say.
Some pretty fancy jewelry on her, though.
But I think like some of his business partners might be some of his closest friends. In Phil Knight's book, he talks about like how he would never drop Tiger because I think Tiger called him soon after a family member passed away or something like that.
I forget who it was, but Tiger was one of the first people to call him
to reach out, and he said after that, like, there's no way, like,
had
Tiger
his back.
Yeah. So it's more than a business partner, I think. Like, there are relationships that mix between the two worlds, I guess.
Right, but I think in that case, like, you apologize to those people in one-on-one. You don't need to go on national television, international television to, look directly at the camera and say I'm sorry.
Issues managers have probably studied these things, and they can let us know what the current best approach is.
So I mean, after that, I feel like what felt rushed to me about the documentary series was the back, and like it kind of like a time that spanned 3 years almost of him battling injuries, coming back, battling injury. Like, that seemed a little bit the chipping yips.
The whole I really felt like the whole part from kind of the where he started to get back into golf, 2010 Masters, and then golf from that point forward, like, it all seemed rushed up until kind of 2019.
Well, but for non-golf fans, it's hard to like point at 2013, the year that he had a bunch of wins and he won the Players, I think, and like big tournament wins, and they did talk about that, but it's hard to like, for people who they're like, oh, the majors, like, that's all they really can understand as accomplishments in golf. You got to get to that 2019 Masters as soon as you can for the story.
Right. But yeah. And I guess this speaks to a point I was talking to Adam about before we started this, is that I think that this documentary is very much about Tiger as the person Tiger, not Tiger totally the golfer agree. Tiger. And, golf was part of the story. And I think many golf fans probably would have preferred for golf to be the central focal point of the story, but that's not what the goal of this was, I don't think. And maybe that documentary is still to come. I hope so.
I think this documentary is for more the, not necessarily a golf fan, but just like a person, who is interested, the casual sports fan, or just the person who like enjoys pop culture
or the person whose spouse has been a devout Tiger fan their whole life, and now they want to get a little summation of the story.
So I don't know, just like, sorry to rehash this, but from 2013 he won the Players. That's right. He won a WGC and a couple other times, but
I think he won a couple WGCs. But anyways,
he won a whole bunch of them. But I think that year maybe. But from then 2013 to 2017 with the dash cam, like we heard about the downfall of Tiger with his personal life, but not like his golf life and his back problem. Like, he just casually mentioned in an interview, like, I've had 3 back surgeries. This was before the fusion, when he was at the Masters dinner and he said, I think I'm done. Like,
we had Faldo in there to sort of bridging a little bit.
Piece that together,
Yeah, I think that was probably the lowest point for him physically there, was when he was like 3 back surgeries in before he had the fusion. I think it was kind of end of 2016 into beginning of 2017, where he was at the Champions dinner that they referenced to, that he said he thought he was done.
Well, that might be the lowest of lows, like, period. Like, so he's basically saying that he can't get up. He's lying down all day, every day. So that means he can't play with his kids. He can't pick up his kids. He can barely like interact with them. So he's on this opioid and other kind of prescription drugs mixed in. And like, I don't know, with the whole dash cam thing, people said it's a brutal image, but it's not a big leap to me to see like where he had been that would happen. And he remained calm, and he was just messed up on a bad cocktail
of painkillers that he was only taking to try to like get through the days,
Well, I think there's a couple things to it. First off, there's the driving aspect.
Yes, of course. That's for sure. Of course. Yeah.
But then there's the people, like, even throughout the 2009 car crash, like, we never saw Tiger as rough as we saw him in that mugshot, and in that, like, the glass house of his personal life and his, this family life that he had built up, this image that had crashed, but we still like the super polished Tiger image and smile and everything. I think that's what was the most shocking to people, was to see this like haggard looking Tiger Woods.
I mean, I think that mugshot pretty much represents the low part of his fall there, but Like Adam was saying, I don't think it was a big leap to get there when you know what he had been going through.
Totally.
Kind of leading up to
and
that.
I think that, I mean, there's a shot, I forget what the narration was happening over top of it, but there's a shot of him sitting in the, I guess, holding cell, wherever they, in the jail. And he's just like sitting on a chair. You kind of like are worried that he might fall over a bit, and he's just, and you're like, man, like this is just literally, they have video of him at his absolute low point, and it's just like, man, I'm glad that there's not video of me at my lowest point.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
Totally.
100%.
This is just a human being
actually,
we're watching here. He just happens to be really good at hitting a white ball around a field.
To be honest, I was pretty impressed. He didn't lose his balance. And I was like, oh, he's going to... Oh, no, he didn't. He's tying his shoe. I was like,
cooperative. Yeah, he's balancing his shoe on the hood of the car.
I was like, how's that back holding up? What's going on here? Guess he's not feeling the back at that point.
And then you get your hands behind your back. Like, I know myself in some situations, if I had my hands behind my back, my face would have been bloodied.
On our last podcast, I was so tired. I don't think I could do the alphabet without singing it. Like, come on.
Or the national anthem. I don't know.
Or the national anthem. Absolutely. Okay, so I mean, if we're past that, then we get into Back Fusion. October 17th, he has a video of him swinging the club, and then he's at the Hero World Challenge. And then I think it was the players again with the Kevin Na kind of moment. And I don't know, it starts to kind of build into that feel good story we all know it's leading to. What do you guys think? Like, I love seeing him smile with the players, with JT, with Kevin Na, with all those guys.
I think to me, there's like, obviously the comeback's great. The Masters win is great. I don't think we need to rehash that. To me, the real question is like, is this Tiger actually out of his shell for the first time ever? You know, like, you hear that, I think, and that seems that is in a lot of ways what is conveyed, is that even when he was dominant, and you know, the sort of the central figure of the PGA Tour, we never actually saw Tiger Woods. And what I feel like is there was always this sort of, I think and you know, maybe I'm being a psychologist here, a psychoanalyst, but there's always this sort of part on Tiger that he's afraid to like show the world, and then for reasons that he didn't actually plan to show it, but it, like, his ugliest side was like bare out in front of them, and like to still be accepted and like embraced by the fans and by other players, like, it's like, okay, I can like just relax and enjoy playing golf, because that is something I still have. And
he had to be completely broken down in every single way to be built up into like the man that we see now, like the whole person that we see with emotions and everything. That's kind of,
well, it's more like, to me it's more like he was so comfortable being this image that he had built, and that was like the mask that he put on, where like he actually like could be comfortable, just like, you know, the kind of jokes that he would make with JT, maybe when they're playing a practice round in a private course that no one else is going to, but like, he's kind of bringing that personality that we saw in those videos of him when he was a teenager at his girlfriend's house. Like, maybe it's just he started to let that come a little bit into the public world that he has to live in.
Yeah,
completely agree.
Well, I mean, I think if this story showed us anything, though, Craig, he wasn't comfortable just being that image that he had created for himself.
True.
Like, in, you know, behind the scenes there is turmoil, and you know, my hope is that he has reached a place where he's more comfortable and has a better balance throughout his life, and that he truly is enjoying being out there again, like it seems like he is. I think there's like, people can get behind that, and that's why, you know, the Masters win was odd. Like, it was so clear after that, you know, after his final putt on 18 to win, he was just so genuinely happy.
I was like,
and that,
Craig said we're going to pass by the 2019 Masters. Kevin smirked. I'm like, we're not passing by the 2019. Kevin needs to talk about this for a second.
Come on. It was just such a great moment. And to get all the way back to, you know, a major is a major is major. The Masters is kind of like, it's the top.
I just love that quote from that one guy. It's like, we have this whole generation of players that grew up watching Tiger, and they always like, I want to be there on Sunday in the mix with Tiger at a major. And he's like, the F you do. You have no idea what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And then it's just like 12 in the water, 12 in the water, 12 in the phenom, Molinari.
Although that was another one, like we were mentioning last week.
Out of
Like,
sequence.
the editing bothered me
Yeah.
a bit there because it's not like Tiger standing up there with 5 guys on the tee box. And I actually I thought the way they started that and talking about his, how he was using his experience. And I thought that, we've spoken about that part on 12 there and how that was pure experience that led him to hit the right shot there. When you see all of these awesome tour players that can land it on the yardage they want to land it on, hitting to the same spot.
You don't hit at the flag, you hit at the middle of the green.
But
you
what
get
if
out
you're
of
trying
there with
to
your
what if you're
par
trying
on
to
12?
win and you're Brooks there? Like Brooks had to come back, I think. So like it's more just the reality is the yardage is tricky there. And Tiger's the one that knows that there's times where you don't go at the yardage because it's not right.
For different reasons, I also love 16, where like he hits it far. We know everyone knows how that green breaks. We know it's coming down, but then you get in the background, you get Michael Phelps.
Yeah, come on.
And then you have on the 17th tee, like Brooks Koepka, like looking back at it as well.
Koepka and Poulter I love that shot of them being like, oh, what's happening over there?
That's awesome. I think it
awesome.
reminded so many of us, especially me, the youngest of us, like the Tiger roars, how they just, I think, took over a golf course when he was in it.
Yeah. Nothing like it.
So the one thing I was just reading was the book that I think it's Armin Katan. Is that his name? And what is it? I think Jeff Benedict. That this documentary was based off of. One of the questions that is asked in it is, what is the price of genius? And to me, I don't love that question, because genius to me, I mean, yes, you can have genius in golf, but I think to me it's more like, what is the price of greatness? And like, do you need to be a little bit imbalanced to become Tiger Woods? Like, do you need to have that coldness to you?
Yes.
Like,
I think
yes,
yes.
he has warmed up now, but like, I don't know if you become the golfer that he was, and still there's shades of it still. Without that coldness, like it's sort of that's the price.
I mean, the obvious comparison is like MJ, and MJ, people.
He made people feel awful at practice. His own teammates, like
he would ride
people.
And Kobe did the same thing, But that was,
and I don't think it's greatness. I think it's like greatness of all time. Like we're talking about the best of the best, not just.
Or who I also think of, and it's a bit of a different context, but Bill Belichick. Like, think about how Bill Belichick is so often portrayed as this like evil genius and like just the tightest ship, and like if you want to be great, you gotta pay the greatness tax. And actually, you know what I liked was Rocco Mediate when he was like, that night I was sleeping and I was like, I'm gonna make a deal with the devil, and he's like, no, I've been with Tiger since he was a kid.
Yeah, that's a pretty good quote. I mean, there could be a whole 2 hours on that one tournament, that one U.S. Open. It was incredible.
Like I was saying, I did enjoy watching this documentary as a big Tiger fan. I didn't think it was like a hit piece like I had kind of read before. I enjoyed it. I do think I kind of wish I'm hoping that at some point there is a very golf-focused Tiger documentary that is done with him in the future, like reflecting back upon this. But, I'm also hoping the story's not over yet, so we might have a few more roars.
I don't
left
think the story is over yet.
If you haven't watched them, Kev, you should check out the TaylorMade. They actually had a clip of behind the scenes at one of them, but the TaylorMade YouTube videos where they have all their
I've seen quite a few of them.
Because Tiger, like all the guys look to Tiger.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Okay, guys, quick fire questions about the docu-series specifically. Was the documentary fair, Craig?
I think yes. I would have liked a voice from more inside the inner circle, but apparently they had the option to and they didn't. So yes, I think it was fair.
I agree with Craig there. I think it was fair. I think they did the best with what they could, with who they had. So yeah, I think it was.
I think it's fair, but kind of like you guys, not the complete story. It's not everything.
There's perspectives that it felt like were missing. Did
you enjoy it? Just as a fan, as a golf fan, as a documentary fan. I don't know. Yeah. Did you enjoy it? Is it going to be one of those sports docs that's one of the better ones that
I don't know if it's going to be like best all, I don't think
it'll be one of the Tiger ones.
Yeah.
Like I think there's going to be multiple Tiger documentaries that kind of become part of the canon on the shelf, and it'll be one of those ones, I think.
Yeah. Did it in any way
I almost
change?
wonder though if they made it too soon, to be honest with you. It's not like with 2019.
You think after
Masters
he wins 19 or
yeah, after 19.
He's got Torrey Pines this year. Or
No, but I mean, like they obviously had to be either getting close to making this or already making this when he won the Masters,
Well, the book that it's based on was from before. So I think essentially they took a lot of the backstory from that and then used the Masters win as the cap.
But yes, I did enjoy it.
Okay, a couple more here. Did it change your impression of Tiger at all?
No,
me, not really for me. No.
Okay. So I don't think
How about
Tiger
you?
would. No, not really. A couple things I didn't know.
Yeah, there's some things that I didn't know as well.
It didn't change my impression of him.
I think it reinforced the whole idea of the Tiger mom, and I think it reinforced that as well as the Tiger dad.
Yeah.
I hear you. Okay, I don't think Tiger would ever admit to watching it, but do you think Tiger secretly watched the documentary series, Kevin?
If it was on me, yeah, I would have. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know who he would watch it with. First off, it might be just.
I think he will watch it. I don't know if he has watched it, but I think at some point he will.
Somebody like him, though, I don't know how far his like jadedness towards media is, and if it's to a certain level, I think you just wouldn't even bother.
Well, and some of these celebrities who are always in the media, they just have a zero, like they just totally shut off that world. So you never know, but I think at some point he'll watch it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on that one. I wouldn't be surprised really either way. Like it wouldn't shock me either way. He could just completely forget about it and move on. Like he did a few of his people in his life.
Just ask Stevie Williams about that.
Okay, bonus question here. Last one. The golfer, or I guess the person as well. Favorite Tiger moment, Kevin, as a Tiger homer, I'll pass it to you first.
Well, I'm gonna have to go with the 2019 Masters.
Really?
Yeah. It takes over from the chip. And in watching this documentary tonight, it reminded me how into it I was a couple years ago there, and particularly 16 was the shot. I remember holding my son and screaming at the TV for it to come down, even though we knew it would. Screaming at it to go in. It was awesome. And then the whole scene with him afterwards being as happy as he was, and with his kids, it was just awesome. It was great. And all the time in between too.
Just one moment actually was what we were looking
the whole
for.
thing.
Okay, Craig. Okay.
I gotta go with the same one. But so for me, what made it special? I was watching it with my now wife, who had never watched golf before. Started the first time watching golf was the back nine of the Masters that Sunday. I was, as usual, cheering against Tiger. And
who are you cheering for?
I think it was Brooks. Molinari for sure. But then once he, essentially anyone but Tiger. But
unreal.
So we had both just finished reading the Phil Knight book, and Tiger, he speaks highly of Tiger. And so it was the only time I think that Tiger won, at least the only time Tiger won a major, that I was like, you know what, I was cheering against him the whole time, but this is actually okay. I'm okay with this.
I'm glad you've become comfortable with that.
Accepted
Craig.
that.
Yeah, I think I was watching the Masters with my wife as well on the couch. But I as much as I kind of told her this is a really big moment that's happening, you're going to watch, I think she continued to watch Gilmore Girls by herself with her headphones in. She's not a big golf fan.
So what about you though? Favorite Tiger moment?
I think that U.S. Open, the documentary kind of highlighted it quite a bit with Rocco Mediate going to the extra 18 holes. That's what kind of my best memory of kind of that dominant Tiger, and to hear the absolute pain and how he was basically playing on one leg. the chip in where he has kind of had that one leg up. I very vividly remembering that. I mean, like, it's high up on the flagpole and it dropped in. Like, that was a cool tournament. That was a cool win.
That actually one of the things that I found shocking in the documentary was that X-ray of his leg. If that truly was his X-ray, that fracture was no joke. Like, there's a lot of different grades of fracture. That was a serious fracture in there. So yeah, that was revealing to me.
Well, thank you everybody for watching and tuning into our Tiger HBO recap. Make sure, please subscribe to our channel. We do a lot of different golf videos, golf history, DFS, different golf insight. We also have our podcast, Apple, Spotify, Grandstand Golf is what you can find. You can find that anywhere. Let us know your favorite moment in the documentary. Leave a comment below and make sure to hit that thumbs up button. See you guys.
See ya.
Take care. See you next time. Only 36 minutes long.